Bats are nocturnal. They rely on highly developed hearing, using echolocation to avoid collision and capture prey. They emit high-pitched cries that echo from any object encountered, providing information about its size and distance. Blinded bats move easily through complex obstacles, but deafness leaves them helpless, unable to find their way. The cries pierce his sleep, driving him awake. As always. Even rising, there is no shutting them out. It is time. Time to don the mask, the equipment. Time to hunt in a city full of prey.
Dear God, Lord Almighty God.
Jimmy, what have you done? You hear me, Jimmy? What have you...
Done on the review board restructuring? Our office needs your recommendation tomorrow. You hear me, Commissioner?
Sorry, Latham. Guess I faded a bit. Haven't gotten the hang yet of mixing police hours with political banquets.
Don't eat the food, delegate the work. You're an executive now, not a street cop, Commissioner. Anyway, we've moved up the mayor's press conference. That's why this is...
Dry there! Sound you're not a policeman?
Yes, sir. Multiple homicide, they said. Father, mother, little boy, whole family. A town, they said. Not for them in some park.
the Heights. No media value, nothing but homicides. So, tomorrow's press conference. Our goal is for the mayor to...
Take a stare. Now! Jimmy, you can't hide it. You can't cover it up.
Are you listening, Commissioner? You can't use a mayor's office vehicle like a squad car just because there's...
A family, Latham. A family died here.
That's the Heights. Poverty, drugs, disease, violence. We're working on programs. The big picture. You've got to learn to work with us.
Commissioner Gordon? It's bad to see any suits in this wheel, sir. No offense.
None taken, Sergeant. This the perpetrator?
Yes, sir. He made the discovery. Lives next to the deceased. Noticed border licking. Went to complain. Didn't get much further than this.
Jesus.
He just saw the woman. Spoke her car got a call from the husband when he went to turn the water off. Beauty while before I noticed the boy. Scalded, beaten to death. Father, mother, child. Why is it, Commissioner?
What, Sergeant?
I'm really bad once. The medical examiner's always late.
Jimmy, we know whose fault it is. Time to admit it. The lying is going to stop, Jimmy. And now he's done.
Time to leave, finally? We still have things to discuss, Commissioner. And your office has been...
What'd I tell you? I told you to get me cigarettes, not be out gawking. You wait till we get home. You wait!
Commissioner! Where are your priorities? You can't keep ignoring the mayor's business to...
Latham! I'm ignoring the mayor's flunky. Nothing else. That damn press conference material will be ready by 10. Right after my community relations briefing at 9. And the district selectmen's breakfast at 8. Which still leaves tonight. My apologies to the mayor if I'm wasting it on crime.
Commissioner, your office. It's about...
Tomorrow's schedule? Okay for the task force session and union conference. The budget meeting can...
It's your wife, sir. Guess she was expecting you and...
Oh, of course. Well, Morner, I might not be home. Lying, Jimmy. You know what happens. You know.
He comes out of the darkness, eyes glittering, threatening, like the gun that he holds. Perhaps only robbery is his intention, but when he is done... My mother and father are dead. And a void opens that I will devote my life attempting to fill. A task terrible, elusive. Despite the extremes to which I'm willing to go. But even if temporary, there are satisfactions. The shock, the fear, freezing their faces, eating at their thoughts. What kind of madman comes among them like this? Wearing the suit, defying their guns? What level of craziness hides behind a mask and shadows? How far will it go? Where will it end? Their minds question. I strike. An important edge. I've trained years to assure that I have others. Beyond all else, there is the void. The hole in my life where two people I loved used to be. Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, my parents, my family. The void yawns, it cannot be filled. But I owe a debt to men like these, for the opportunity to try. Still, they are not my purpose in being here. This is useful, but I'm after a larger prey. A highly competitive Gotham City business has become more so. A new designer drug is on the street, an additive originating in the Far East. They call it Boost. Mixed with cocaine in factories like this, it produces a faster, more violent high than crack. And because it can be sold in smaller quantities at cheaper prices, no one's overly concerned that it also produces more ODS. A new plague in the making. One that doesn't appear to come from the usual sources. A number of long nights have gone into determining that, which indicates a new player in the drug scene. Learning who is a matter of more nights. But there's always a chain. Find one end, and link by link it will bring you to the other. Time, Coley.
Off me! Off me, you crazy!
No, that's for in front of your crew. No one to impress here. It's why I let you run. We're alone now. I came to the Heights for a name. One I need to learn others. You're going to provide it, Coley. Time. A chain, the links, night after night, without exception. Not even one already agreed upon.
Bruce, weren't you scheduled to speak earlier? Thought this was a pet project of yours.
Well, the Wayne Foundation funds many causes. Afraid I juggle money better than my time. Looks like a good turnout anyway.
There were more until Mr. Latham of the mayor's office filled in for you. Something about a politician asking for contributions produces a drift to the door. The wealthy listen better to one of their own. We're helping abused and neglected children, Mr. Wayne. We can't afford missed opportunities. Opening the center isn't an end. Abuse is a problem everywhere, not just Gotham City. This could be the first of many safe houses, but that means...
Sybil, since Bruce Wayne made all of this possible, why don't we hold off on the guilt trip until after we thank him? Bryan McLean, lead psychologist for Safe House. You must know from meetings with my sister how dedicated she is. The price is an occasional lapse into the Attila the Hun School of Fundraising.
I'm just an administrator, Bryan. You help the children directly. I need other ways to channel my concern and...
Uh-oh, you've really skinned those knuckles, Wayne. Still bleeding.
I'm always banging into something. In the rush getting here, I didn't even notice.
Let's find you a bandage.
Hopefully, when he's fully repaired, Mr. Wayne can work the crowd. Meantime, I'll gather my hordes for another attack.
Seems we've both irritated Sybil. I'm sorry about it, McLean. Your sister did remarkable work selling Wayne Foundation on this, and in seeing it through.
A dream for us, but a full load of tension and stress to achieve. Sybil's borne most of it, and we're not done. With the center open, active, we're still only confronting part of the problem. My staff and I are treating children after the damage. With time, with care, we can have success. If they reach us, God knows so many don't. But if we could have reached the families... Abusers usually were abused themselves, Wayne. With the proper therapy programs and counseling in place, they can be helped. The pattern can be broken before the child is.
There's provision for expanding programs in your funding?
And limits, not surprising with all your foundation does. But Sybil and I were hoping this visit might spark a greater priority, more personal commitment. As I understand it, you suffered traumatic violence as a child. I know abuse wasn't involved, but...
I found ways to deal with it, Doctor. But certainly, I can identify with the suffering of the children you help. It's why I'm here. Understanding their abusers, however, isn't something I easily relate to.
The horror, and some days it seems endless. Gets to us all, even professionals. But without understanding what's left, Wayne, what replaces it?
Listen to the man. For a shrink, the doc ain't just talk. Pulled me out of hell. Helped me find a life.
Josh Adams, our physical therapist. Got a casualty, Josh. Your first aid room's handier than the clinic upstairs. The testimonial is pretty convenient, too. Maybe a touch melodramatic, but then we're trying to impress you, Wayne. Actually, I was just part of a therapy program in the service, treating combat vets. Josh was.
I was messed up. Over the edge. Doc kids, but he reached me when nothing else seemed to. Stuck by me. Got me working with the kids, instead of sinking inside myself and... Whoa! Newspapers call you a playboy, Wayne. Knuckles look like you play with heavy weights. I do some boxing, martial arts. This kind of damage comes from...
Searching for answers. Tonight is that I'm obviously playing my racquetball too close to the wall.
And pretty obsessively. If that's what made you late this evening, maybe we could channel some of it into a greater involvement with Safe House, as I was suggesting.
Personal involvement? Well, first there's that crowd to work. Can't leave without smoothing things over with your sister. Really, you should be talking to Jim Gordon, our new police commissioner. His force is on the front lines in abuse cases, considering Gotham's other social services. Consulting with Safe House is an involvement they need.
They need it. A nice way of saying he doesn't.
Oh, the help we want will be there, Josh, through his foundation. Beyond, that's the problem. His lifestyle should have made me sensitive to it. The playboy thing, protection of sorts, nothing gets close, nothing gets personal. I'd guess Bruce Wayne has his full share of private demons, and needs his full share of involvement working them out.
Then I sympathize with the man, Doc. Sympathize a lot.
No sympathy for me, Jimmy. You know the rules. You know the punishment. You steal. You lie. You pay. You hear me, Jimmy? Jimmy.
James? Are you all right? Seemed almost in a trance, staring into the closet.
Didn't mean to disturb you, Barbara. Just stopped to change clothes. Guess I drifted off a bit, thinking about my father.
I ought to think about getting some rest. No one can maintain your schedule, and Jimmy and I...
Didn't we agree not to call the boy that? I hated it when I was his age.
But James seems so formal for 6 years old. Besides...
It's what you call me. I'm not sure when it stopped being Jeem.
Maybe when I stopped being sure what you're really doing when you don't come home.
Damn it, Barbara. That was one mistake years ago. How much counseling does it take before?
Counseling? Do you have any idea of how many sessions you've missed or canceled?
Or how it feels being the only half of the marriage, seeing the marriage counselor?
Are you saying I don't care? I had to talk you into going in the first place, Barbara. I had to...
No! Jimmy!
James, you've been told never to touch that. Never. 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 It wasn't cocked. Thank God. What in hell did you think you were doing, James?
Noises woke me up, Dandy. Scary noises. Sounded like a bad man. A bad man bothering Mommy.
Listen, I haven't encouraged him to play favorites. His reaction to...
That thing was left here? On the dining room table?
All right, Barbara. I feel guilty. Thought I'd just be in and out before anyone was up.
Why do you even still carry it?
You're a police commissioner. Off the streets at last. That should be making our life better now.
I'm still a cop. A damn good one. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be commissioner, Barbara. And we wouldn't be living in a condominium with rooms bigger than some homes we've owned. Or sending the boy to schools that charge more for a semester than I pay a patrolman in a year. Now maybe you've changed your idea of what better is, Barbara. But don't expect me to change at what I am.
A cop! God in heaven! Get a cop!
These sleeping beauties patrol the grounds every night. Whoever came over the wall sent some doped up meat ahead of them. Knocked out the full-time caretaker about as easily, Commissioner. And covered his tracks to and from the guy's quarters when he did it. Short-circuiting the alarm system made it a perfect triple play. So we're not talking your average crackhead hitting the house through these doors, sir. But I'd sure like to think he was whacked out on something to do what went down here. Nothing like a cheap stogie to counteract the smell. Old trick. Not needed often working this neighborhood. Mostly it's the cigarette burns.
They're only on the man? Buttocks and genitals?
That's our reading. Unless the ME finds otherwise. Sorry to drag you into one this nasty, Commissioner. But City Hall's gonna be hysterical. Anthony Rizzoli was a major campaign contributor, I hear.
Yeah, that'd be pressure. As if we don't have enough without a wealthy citizen and his wife being slaughtered. Worst thing I've seen since last week. The Heights.
The Heights? Always something there. This one we got a chance with. Delicate situation, but there's a possible witness. Rizzoli's sister came by on family business, found the mess downstairs. And her niece upstairs, curled into a little knot under the bed.
Catherine, Katie. I like your name. It's pretty. Do you have a name for your bear, Katie? The child has a history. I told you, people. She hasn't spoken for over a year. Been to all kinds of specialists. But after tonight, dear God, after tonight...
Officer, this can be done later. If there's a particular doctor we should contact Ms. Rizzoli, arrange a more suitable time and place.
I've already contacted the family lawyer. He'll make arrangements. My niece and I should be out of his horror show. Where is my driver? Where is...
Nothing in sight.
Well, something upset her. Something extreme to jar her from the throne like that. God knows what Catherine's suffering now, Commissioner. I won't put up with anything more.
Extend Ms. Rizzoli and her niece any help they need leaving Manera. I want to check the grounds alone, get a feel for what's happened.
Sorry. The trouble with an appearance that can strike fear in the minds of criminals is that sometimes strikes fear in the innocent as well.
You're not careless. The child seemed to have retreated into herself, beyond noticing anything. Still, odd that she noticed you. I suppose you have a reason for being here.
Beyond the fact that from time to time we help each other, I've been following a chain, Jim, and Anthony Rizzoli was its final link.
I recognize it. The DEA gave us chapter and verse when cocaine laced with it started hitting the East End and the Heights.
Boost. Comes in from the Far East as perfume samples, Jim. Through Gotham City's largest import-export firm.
Rizzoli's. But his reputation, his position in the community. Clean. No criminal associations. None. Just
a ruthless eye for a business opportunity and total willingness to compete. Even in an area where competition means war.
Drug war? You expect me to give the mayor that when one of his most prominent supporters is slaughtered? That's not a solution, Commissioner. It's career suicide.
It's a theory, Latham. And from the way Rizzoli legal counsel is stonewalling our entire investigation, I'd say it's a good one. My source on it is usually reliable.
Usually is a thin thing to state your job on, Gordon. Especially when you haven't been at it long enough for anyone to miss you if you're gone. You've done well in Gotham City. For a cop who came here from Chicago under something of a shadow. Having overcome one bad start, are you really prepared to go for two? Just solve the crime, Commissioner. Isn't that what you whine about never getting to do? Instead of drug war fantasies, give us a murderer. Soon.
How the hell do I do that when everybody butts into how I perform my own damn job? When I can't even find what I need in my own damn office? How the hell? How the hell?
Trust me, Jim. There's no mistake about Rizzoli importing Boost.
Yet I think of the way he and his wife were killed, and I keep seeing another family. Poor black from the Heights, no connection to the Rizzolis, except dying just as brutally, just as senselessly. Wasted a lot of time trying to find the report. Hasn't been done. Medical examiners backed up, autopsies still pending. No pressure there, but they were a family, damn it. Like the Rizzolis. Can't get it out of my head. Families.
Families connected by drugs. Anthony Rizzoli was the high end of moving Boost into Gotham City. A drug factory I raided last week was mid-level, and it was in the Heights, Jim. For street sales, they'd utilize locals. If either parent in your case was involved, rival dealers would slaughter them just as surely as the Rizzolis. Violence is a message in a drug war, delivered to every level. Work on the connection, Jim. I'll work on the rivals. The sheet, like sleep itself, is no protection. The cries come again. He cannot stop hearing them. They cannot be shut out. Another night waits, this time free of falling snow. A perfect night. A hunter's night. The mask and equipment are close at hand. The cries piercingly strong, shatteringly clear. And he knows what must be done to bring silence once more. New prey, established method. A chain, the links. Night after night, without exception. The answers are waiting, on the streets, in the lairs. Always. Answers to the crimes, even to Jim Gordon's frustration and helplessness. If I find the right person, if I strike the correct note of fear, and here, unlike the other night at the Rizzoli home, it won't be the innocent I frighten. Time, Orca!
He came last night, all black and all scary, like Daddy always said. Come right through the window, like a big black monster. Daddy always said it. He come if anybody found out our secrets. Daddy showed me him on the TV, how he's all black and scary, how he comes after bad people who don't keep secrets. Only I never told nobody, and he still can't.
And you saw him, Dustin? You know who he was?
From the TV, Daddy showed me. It was the partner. Why'd he come when we was in bed? Daddy and me was just playing. Mommy was bad. She left us. She ran away a long time ago. But Batman didn't get her. He got my daddy, dragged him away where I couldn't see, and hurt him. And we was just playing the game Daddy taught me after Mommy was gone.
What game, Dustin?
Boy and girl. You know, where Daddy plays the boy, and I play the girl, and we...
Blame yourself, Jimmy. You break the rules. You have to pay. A marriage you can save, a job you can't handle, a case you can solve. It never ends, Jimmy. Fooling yourself, failing, since you were a kid. This is the only way to set things straight. Your father knows. The only way. Father knows. The only way. Let's see. Follow-up report on Rizzoli crime scene. Something before I dozed off. What? Focus, damn it. Only way. Only.
I got Captain Firepower, Betty, with my Christmas money. You said you'd look when you got home, but you forgot,
James, damn it! We have rules about not interrupting when I work. The only way you'll learn is...
The only... Jimmy? Oh my God. Oh my God.
You scared me, Daddy. You scared me a lot.
I know, James, but I love you. And I'm going to see nothing scares you like this again. Barbara, honey, things aren't working here. I need some help.
If violence is the message, Slash is the perfect messenger. He likes it. Up close. The nastier, the better. It's made him a top enforcer in one of the city's major drug rings. Long overdue for my attention, and a final source for the answers I need. Except, what I've been getting doesn't fit. Something's been twisted. Or covered up. Something's not making sense anymore. Grr.
Time to back off. This one won't be solved our usual way.
What are we doing, Jim?
Confirming a few things. Pretty unpleasant things. And somehow, they connect to you. Let's start with the drug war. There isn't one, correct?
Everything pointed to one, except people who'd be waging it. Claim Anthony Rizzoli's potential rivals were cut in on his boost traffic. There's a holdover Rizzoli, they claim, involving his taste in videotapes. Sick stuff, supposedly. Seemed so far-fetched. And yet...
Here, the original inventory and a follow-up from the Rizzoli crime scene. Have a look while I raise hell about an autopsy report everyone's too busy to file.
The boy died earlier than his parents? Traces of his blood on the father's knuckles? Corresponding bruises and abrasions? Scar tissue indicating a history of scaldings? And this was still on your desk instead of mine?
I enter Office Confusion Commissioner. The mayor's people keep shoving new procedures down our throats. Fresh on the job, you probably haven't felt that kind of pressure. Bottom line, this is just a family from the Heights, and Commissioner?
Jim, these crime scene inventories you gave me, between the first and the second.
Some of Rizzoli's videotapes walked away. Wouldn't ordinarily mean much.
Except for what I heard on the streets. Nothing about specific content, but...
You haven't learned what I just did. Check this coroner's report while we head for our next stop.
Abuse. A boy dies from beatings and scaldings.
Someone slays his parents the same way.
Then Rizzoli has some twisted preference in videos, Jim. And...
His body was smashed into a television set, burned with cigarettes first.
His daughter, traumatized, speechless. Was there an examination?
She's locked away, private sanitarium. So far, family lawyers have legally blocked any contact.
The girl's condition would indicate long-term abuse, yet the mother never reported it? Never picked up a phone, and she was...
hanged with a telephone cord.
Jim, if your latest case bears this out, what you've got is a serial killer, doing to abusers what they've done to the children.
More. I've got one witness, possibly two, if the Rizzoli girl could communicate, who believe that killer is you.
This is damned irregular, Commissioner. You brought us a boy for treatment who's only starting to deal with the violent death of a sexually abusive father. Now, you show up in the middle of the night with a man who may be the murderer.
Except he's not, Dr. McLean. We've established he was taking down a drug dealer named Hawker when Dustin's father was killed.
But we desperately need insights why the boy thinks it was me.
Dustin's probably too young to fully understand everything about this. The heaviest guilt and trauma related to his father's actions may not emerge until he comprehends sexual matters more. Hopefully, through structured play, talking, acting out, we can accomplish the first big step, making the child understand none of this is his fault. As for the killing specifically, the doctor I've assigned to Dustin's case has been trying hypnosis.
You mean a bad man, Dustin?
No! He's the Batman! Like Daddy said. Big and black,
And it never gets more conclusive?
Some, but we can't rush Dustin. Force him to remember what he isn't ready to. The murderer was certainly masked, probably dressed entirely in black. It's possible he was literally a black man, while not necessarily someone in an actual bad costume. Yet, the boy is unshakable that the killer is the Batman. Frustrating, but so much of what we deal with here is...
Sounds like police work, Dr. McLean. Sorry to have added to the strain.
You have to do what you can to end this, Commissioner. Although, I suppose in some strange way the man you're looking for feels the same about abuse.
That's the sort of insight we're after. But for the sake of the investigation, Doctor, please don't talk to anyone else about the case.
Talk is a psychologist's stock and trade, Commissioner. Pretty difficult not to share this with my associates. Particularly my sister Sybil or my friend Josh Adams, our physical therapist, nonetheless.
I appreciate it, McLean. Now where did...
Right with you, Jim.
You picked up on something back there?
I'm not sure yet. This one isn't taking us where we normally go, Jim. I said you had a serial killer.
The pattern is there, like the others. The way Dustin's father died parallels the boy's abuse.
Something more is at work here. To put on a mask. To use the darkness. To deliver a frightening justice. Does that sound like a serial killer, Jim? Or like
we've done all we can tonight. And we'll deal with it better tomorrow.
You're really packing it down, Commissioner? Heading home for a change?
And hopefully, Merkel, so will he. The answers to what this business stirs up aren't all to be found on the street.
the lights of the city. And behind some of them, from the poorest tenement to the most elegant apartment tower, terrible crimes are being perpetrated. Crimes against children by the very people who should comfort and protect them. Crimes all my training, all my methods might normally never uncover. But somehow, he knows. Something draws him to the horror, calls him through the darkness, drives him over the edge. How close is it to what drives me?
Sybil, you burning the midnight oil too.
I'm concerned, Bryan. Josh Adams tells me the police were here last night. He usually stays late to use the gym for a workout. He heard them talking to you.
Don't worry, sis. They weren't investigating your funding methods, just after advice.
Bryan, I don't like the involvement. You know what the children mean to me? Why risk what Safe House is accomplishing by overextending yourself? If I could do more, it'd be different, but...
Sybil, we both contribute at this point. Your efforts would be harder to replace than mine. Remember that and get some rest.
Dr. McLean, I need your advice. Riverbank Clinic is a private hospital. For the wealthy and privileged who make use of its services, it is more than a place of healing. It is a refuge from a prying public, a sanctuary from judgmental deers, and on occasion, a fortress against the reach of the law. But not my reach. Not when Riverbank eagerly accepts a wealthy playboy like Bruce Wayne for an overnight rest treatment. Not when their special security wing is only a leap from the main section of the clinic. Not when Anthony Rizzoli's daughter, in the name of prolonged observation, is virtually a prisoner there. But, unlike the possibly incriminating videotapes, Rizzoli's sister and those who advise her can't make the girl disappear. In time, Gordon's people can untie the legal knots, get the child real help, and squash the family drug business. In time. But how often will our killer strike before then? A sealed window onto a corridor, a silent alarm system, a computerized lock barring a door. I have tools and skills for dealing with these. Beyond the door, except for a few words with Dr. McLean, I'm in unknown territory. Kathy. I'm sorry. I don't want to frighten you. I did that once, when you saw me through the window at your home. I know I look scary, and there have been too many scary things in your life. So I want you to see. I'm just a man who's trying to help. I know things have happened, Kathy. Things you might feel are too awful to talk about, or so wrong it's better not to talk at all. I hope someday you'll believe none of those things are your fault. But I understand that you're not ready to talk about them now. But there still might be a way to share what you might know about whoever attacked your parents. I think something about me, my mask, this outfit, reminded you of that person. Enough so you screamed when you first glimpsed me. I know this means calling up bad memories, but sometimes sharing them can help them go away. You don't have to talk. You're a good artist, Kathy. See if there's anything you can show me. Winter daylight comes thinly, dies swiftly, crowded by the approach of another winter night. The pace of the city gradually slows, the din of its streets steadily fades, and finally, inevitably, the cries can be heard.
This dinner appointment came up so suddenly, Bryan. I'm sorry, it's about funding, so I can't cancel, but...
Sybil, you don't have to apologize every time you take a night off. I take them occasionally myself. Enjoy it a little, for God's sake.
All right, kids. That's it for today.
Surprise doesn't impair Josh Adams. He reacts with the brutal grace of a professional honed in every aspect of fighting, of killing. Just what he is. And just what I've trained a lifetime to be ready against. Vampires. An elite US insurgency unit. I've been at the computer all day, rummaging government files. You were one of them in Central America, Adams. What happened there? How does it link with what's happening in Gotham now?
Too much happened. Most important, the children died. vampires, night fighters. Our training put us somewhere between CIA spooks and combat elite like SEALs or Special Forces. It also put us in Central America, helping the locals pacify rebel strongholds. Except some locals couldn't be trusted. A lot of strongholds were innocent villages, and it took us too many raids to learn. But sooner or later, the screaming taught us, sometimes so well, seemed you might hear it forever. Which is why Doc McLean was one of us. Took our training, served where we served. A psychological monitor. Something new the government was trying. His job was to keep us going, despite families blown to pieces, despite screams of children haunting our dreams. And he did. Brought me through it. Others like me. Kept us sane doing insane work. Only, nobody was monitoring the doc. He was good with us because he was there, sharing what we did, feeling what we did. But nobody saw it was too much. When the children died. Sensitive guy, the doc. To people, to their pain. Too sensitive. The children set something off in him, and it haunts him to this day. He still hears them, not like we did. Dreams, memories, something you could talk through, work out. For Doc, some kind of circuit opened, left him on their wavelength, in tune to the kids, their pain, not just back in those villages, here, now. It's
like a form of extrasensory perception. And tonight,
he scouted this place, drawn to it lately, like other times I finally figured match when those murders happened. Started following Doc. Figured to stop him. Help him. He saved me. Must be some way to save him. Isn't there? Isn't...
The Hotel Royal is a welfare hell. Time-stained elegance turned by failing social programs into a maze. A decaying warehouse for human beings. A maze, but I have screams to guide me. As whatever terrible cries earlier guided Dr. Bryan McLean. He took our training, Josh Adams said, shed what we did, and the strength and resistance I feel as I drive to end this swiftly. Tells me none of that has been lost, only made to serve a very private demon. Give it up, McLean. Give it. But the doctor is not the only one in this room over the edge. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's a chain. A damn chain. And it's got to be broken. You're hurting them because someone hurt you. For God's sake, break the chain. It can't keep going on and on. Parent to child to...
Doc! No!
Adams.
Tried to stop him as I came down roof stairs. Wouldn't listen. Just slashed out. Got me. Got my gun. Wound's not so bad. I can't handle things here. Go after him.
Duck's beyond listening to me. No telling what he'll do. But not hard to follow where he's gone.
Thank God you've come. It's my brother. He wasn't at his apartment when I checked earlier, so I headed here hoping he'd be working. Brian was just arriving. He just shoved past me, didn't speak, and he had...
I know, Miss McLean. A gun.
No, something else. A small bundle.
Bundle? He didn't have time to pick anything up since I saw him at the room at the Hotel Royale. Dirty. Cramped. Could there have been... Yes, a crib. But the children weren't in it. The 2 children were older. What if it wasn't for them? Sybil, where did your brother go in here?
It looked like he was headed all the way up. The playroom. After hours, Brian sometimes found it a comforting place when he needed to think, to be alone. And he needed that more and more since Central America. I thought his agony about the children could be channeled into something good, like Safe House. For a time, I think it was. But for all the ones we could help, there were so many others. I don't know when I became aware someone was doing something about it. I just began noticing Brian was gone on nights when...
Call Commissioner Gordon. I'll take care of your brother.
Far enough, I'm taking care of things myself.
McLean, you're not the only one involved here.
That's right, I wanted you to stop me, you or the police. But the Cries, so many, so damn many, they don't stop. And no matter what I want, they have to be answered. Central America taught me that. But it wasn't where they started. No, they began with my sister. When my father was alive and abusing her, Sybil, but not me, sometimes it works that way. But I could hear, night after night, and I was too afraid to admit it, to do anything for years. Part of me wanted to please my father, to spare myself what Sybil suffered. Even after she and I faced what happened and dedicated ourselves to helping other abuse victims, part of me was still drawn to his profession, to the military, to the vampires, and to the loudest cries of all. Loudest until we came here, and more cries than I ever believed possible. But slowly, certain ones would grow stronger. A mental signal. A signal that in time I couldn't help but home in on. Worse, I couldn't help but see through the eyes of the tormented child. I tried not to look, not to hear, but the sights, the sounds couldn't be ignored, wouldn't be shut out. I had to act, to do something, anything to end them. And I did over and over because each time I acted, more cries flooded my brain. Sorting them out became harder, my own violence more frenzied each time I did. And the hardest ever rose from the Hotel Royale, one tiny cry from a nightmare nest of criminals, addicts, and desperate families, where children screamed behind every other door. No one would notice the cry of one infant in that turmoil or think it out of the ordinary if they did. When I finally entered that hellish place with its hopeless inhabitants, finally singled out that one awful room, I knew it was over. She was dying when I got there just before you burst in. Dead before I made it to the street, and by the time I reached here, the cries were coming again, more of them, more. This country has over 2 million cases of child abuse every year. More than 2,000 deaths, too many cries, I can't go on listening. Someone else has to hear them. I can't.
McLean! No!
They're announcing our flight. We really have to go now.
You can come, Daddy.
Oh, visit James. We all talked about this with the doctor, right? I've got problems to solve here.
So you go on to just me and great Batman you're supposed to catch? Instead of Army and Earth.
Not at you, James. Most especially not at somebody I love so much. Barbara, I wish.
I do too, Jim. But if there's been too much damage between you and me, there's hope now of something better between you and James.
Bats are nocturnal. They rely on highly developed hearing, using echolocation to avoid collision and capture prey. They emit high-pitched cries that echo from any object encountered, providing information about its size and distance. Blinded bats move easily through complex obstacles, but deafness leaves them helpless, unable to find their way. In the night, he listens. 2 million cases, 2,000 deaths, too many cries. Someone else has to hear them. In the night, he listens, and only the sound of his voice comes to him, screaming in frustration. The cry of a lone bat, unable to find its way.